Welcome on in here to the Tuesday edition of Sports Memo Today. I'm your host, Dan Alexander. Happy to be with you, joined by a fellow Dan today. He's going to be giving you some MLB plays, two money line plays for you in action today. And then if you're already thinking football, well, you're just like my man, Jesse Schule, the Iceman in the dog days of summer, getting you ready with not one, but two football plays, one in college football, looking towards week 0, and then a little season-long action for you coming your way with an NFL season win total bet. We're going to be getting that from Jesse Schule to end the show, but first things first, let's welcome in my man, Dan Kaiser. He is our $2 Tuesday handicapper alongside Billy Coleman. Both of them have a big-time play, 90% winning days for Billy Coleman, and we got a platinum 5% play from my man, Dan Kaiser. We'll talk about that play in just a few, Dan, because I want to get right into it here. Take a look at Boston as they're hosting the Miami Marlins. You think there might be some money line value in the home side. Why are we liking Boston today, Dan?
Well, I like Boston more. I guess it's more that I don't like Alcantara this year, and it hurts me to say that because he made me a lot of money last year. But this year he's just I don't know, he's been struggling. He's 2-6 on the season, 5.08 ERA. He's pitched or he's pitched. He's had some Marlins play. Have won when he's pitched. The 3-1 in his last 4 of his starts. But he's they're scoring a lot of runs when he's in his last 4 starts. But he's given up 5 runs in 3 of those 4 starts. So and I have to look at their last series, the Marlins' last series against Pittsburgh, when they took 3 of 4 against the Pirates, but they only scored 3 runs a game. So if he has another typical outing for him, I just don't see the Marlins being able to score runs, especially against Whitlock. Whitlock pitched nice for Boston. He's 4-2, 4.50 ERA. Both these teams are kind of like saying kind of middle of the road right now. The Marlins are playing as a team, are playing good. They just don't seem to put it together. Or Alcantara hasn't seemed to be been able to put it together on the mound. And I just look at past history. Boston's 9-1 in their last 10 against Miami, 15-2 in their last 17. Boston's 5-1 in their last 6 games, one's for series. And Alcantara, I don't know. He's got to show me something. He's got to show me something before I believe in him again. Mm-hmm. I just like Boston in this spot, and this is Alcantara's first start at Fenway, and those always can be a little bit different. Fenway's a different animal, and for a first-time pitcher, and with the green monster out there, it's a little bit daunting. So, I'm just going to take Boston in this one at home. I just think they're going to be able to score just enough to pull this one out.
Yeah, I think even hearing you talking, it makes me think maybe a Miami team total under in that aspect. But just take it out of it. Just take the money line. Take the home side is what my man Dan Kaiser says. That's Boston over Miami this evening in some baseball action. Dan, before we get into your second free play you have for the folks, tell them about the play you're pretty excited about, hoping to get the winner for the folks for just $2 over at SportsMemo.com.
Yeah, it's a 5% play tonight on the Braves game. I really like how this play shaped up, and I got to give you some credit in this one. Last time I was on the show, I think you brought me a little bit of luck. It was about the beginning of the June, and I've been on a heck of a run since then. I'm always apprehensive coming on this show, not because of you, but sometimes I seem like I come on this show and start speaking highly of myself, and then I go on a losing streak. But starting in June, I came on the show, and I've been red hot ever since. So yeah, hop on this 5% play for only $2, and I'm 4-0 in my 5% plays in Major League Baseball in June. So looking to close out the month with another one here.
I love it. So we started strong. We'll end strong. And for just $2, you can ride with Dan Kaiser. Bump it up to $3. Grab Billy Coleman's play as well. That's over at sportsmemo.com. But I'm glad to hear that I was good luck, not the kiss of death. Depends who you ask how they're looking at it that time. So fingers crossed we keep that going for you, Dan. Definitely check them out. sm.buzz/DK. Now, Dan, not only one free play you have here for the folks, you got another one in this Cleveland game as they're visiting the Kansas City Royals. What side are we looking at? Another home spot here, or do we think the road dog maybe has some options?
Well, actually, it's a road favorite in this one, but yeah, I like Cleveland. I like Cleveland in this game. Uh, they haven't found their footing. They not the Cleveland Indians team or Guardians team as we're used to. They are in second place in the dreadful American League Central, but they are 3 games under 500. They have a rookie pitcher making the second start tonight. He fared all right in his first start. He went 5 2/3 innings, allowed 4 runs, but only had 4 hits. And he's facing a Kansas City Royals team that if it wasn't for the Oakland A's, they'd be the worst team in baseball. The Royals are going with Brady Singer. Singer's probably one of the Royals' better pitchers, but he's still 4-7 with his dreadful 6.34 ERA. Cleveland, struggling at the plate. They're 26th in OPS, but again, they're facing a Royals team that's even worse. The Royals are 27th in OPS. I guess this game will probably come down to the bullpens, and in that case, that's why I'm liking the Indians. The Indians are second in the majors with a 2.96 reliever ERA compared to Kansas City's 4. Yeah, already there. 4 point. Sorry, I'm an old guy. It's hard for me to remember to change names, but yeah. So it's 4.8. Kansas City has a 4.84 bullpen ERA, which is 29th. The Guardians have just dominated. They've won 21 of the last 30 games in Kauffman Stadium, and with their new name, I think they're going to have a new beginning to the season right here. I'm going to take the Guardians for the win.
Taking the Guardians on the road as the favorite. That's my man, Dan Kaiser. 5% play, only $2 over his page right now. Dan, it's always a pleasure, man. And hey, if a streak starts going the other way, you can just blame me. You can say, well, you gave me good luck at the beginning of the month. Now you gave me bad luck at the end. But we're not even putting that out there, brother. You got this one. Always a pleasure, Dan. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Appreciate you. There's Dan Kaiser. And again, that 5%er you can get for just $2 or throw it in with Billy Coleman. He is the one taking a look towards the underdog game of the month, according to BC. Check them both out at sportsmemo.com. All right, Jesse Schule, it's time to bring him on. Go fisticuffs. He wants to fade my Philadelphia Eagles, although low-key, Jesse, I kind of feel like I agree with you. So I love the fact that we are talking here at the end of June, and you already want to get some football plays in. That's what you did for us the last time on the show. So let's get some more football action. Let's talk the Eagles season win total that's sitting at 11.5, and even this big homer thinks that might be a little too rich. Why do you like that under, Jess?
Well, Dan, as an Eagles fan, you probably remember I came on this show last year at this time and gave out a play on the over for the Eagles regular season wins. I also I had the Eagles to win the division as a big underdog last year. So I was high on the Eagles for a variety of reasons. Some of those reasons included the number 1 ranked offensive line and a really soft schedule. I mentioned last year that only 2 teams had a weaker schedule than the Eagles. Well, that's about to change for Philadelphia. They have more of an average schedule, ranked right in the middle of the league as far as strength of schedule goes. And that's the number has gone up from 8.5 is what I got it at last year. And it opened at 10.5. And of course, the public is all over the Eagles, and it's been bet up to 11.5. And I just don't see any value with a number like that. In my experience, it pays to be pessimistic rather than optimistic when betting these kind of regular season win totals, especially with these higher numbers. In a perfect world, if everything goes right for the Eagles, they'll probably win 12 or 13 games. But Murphy's Law, the Commanders or the Giants get a couple fumble returns or an injury to a quarterback or a key player, and all of a sudden they're sitting at 10 wins instead of 12. And for that reason, I think I got to fade this number. I just think it sort of looks easy, but it's never going to be as easy as it looks. And yeah, I'll take the under.
Well, they also have this brutal 5-game stretch, and you can say what you will about the Cowboys, but on November 5th, they start off hosting Cowboys, then they go on the road to the Chiefs, then they come home, they host the Bills, then they host the 49ers, who we already know the 49ers want to get back at the Philadelphia Eagles for what happened last year in the playoffs, knocking out their quarterback. And then they have to go to the Cowboys. 2 out of those 5 games are primetime games. So I even just look at that part of the schedule and find it hard to grab 3 wins right there. I'm with you. 12 wins? They really need 12 wins to win this division. I would argue if they get around 10, they're going to be sitting pretty. So I'm with you, man. At 11.5, if this number was 10.5, I think it's a little bit sweatier. At 11.5, I think the only way you can look is either pass it or play the under. I fully co-sign as the Philadelphia Eagles homer, putting the stamp of approval on Jesse Schule's early look here. And as he said, he had a pretty good read on the Birds last year. And we'll see if that continues here heading into the 2023-24 season. All right, you're not only thinking about the NFL, you're also thinking about, even while you're handicapping CFL, you're already getting ready for NCAA football. That's why Jesse Schule is one of the best football handicappers in the world. Week 0. I don't know why they don't just call it week 1 and say some teams don't play in week 1, but week 0, Vandy's taking on Hawaii. How are we going to be betting this one, Jesse?
Well, Dan, probably everybody remembers Vandy took Hawaii out behind the woodshed last year. They won 63-10. So, maybe some of us would be thinking a revenge spot for Hawaii. And a lot of us probably aren't aware that Hawaii actually covered the spread in 7 of their last 8 games of last season. And, Timmy Chang didn't have a lot to work with that Hawaii team. He did a pretty respectable job. But at the end of the day, I just think there's too much working against Hawaii. It's difficult for them to recruit high-end talent when they've been booted out of Aloha Stadium, which had a capacity of 50,000. Now they're playing in some athletic complex that only has 9,000 seats. Of course, the tough travel schedule. Who wants to go play at Hawaii when you're going to have to do all that traveling? So it's going to be really hard for Hawaii to match up. And we saw last year Vanderbilt ran for over 400 yards. Their offensive line really dominated, just a real disparity in talent and probably size. Vanderbilt might be the worst team in the SEC, but they're still an SEC team. They're still competitive in some of those SEC games. And that's a big step up from what Hawaii fields as far as talent. And the last thing I'll mention about this game is really tough schedule spot for Hawaii, because they play their home opener on a short week, just 6 days later at home. So they got to go all the way to Vanderbilt and then all the way back and play 6 days later. And for that reason, I could see a situation where if Hawaii is getting beaten up, I could see them throwing in the towel and, yanking some starters and sort of licking their wounds and trying to regroup for their home opener 6 days later. So I think this 17.5, while it looks like a big number, I really expect Vanderbilt to just run all over them once again, sort of a repeat of what happened last year.
Yeah, and I also think one of the most overrated angles in sports handicapping is the revenge angle, especially when you're talking about a week 0 college football game. You're talking about college football where you have roster turnover every single year. I don't know if anyone's saying, let's win one for the Gipper after we got rolled last year. Vandy against
Well, they
Hawaii,
lost by 50 last year. So what, if they lose by 25 this year, that's revenge?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Then we really got them. Only lost by 20, and we're still cashing the minus 17.5. Laying the big spot in week 0. Get in on it now, because who knows? This may be closer to 20.5 by the time the game rolls around. Vandy over Hawaii in week 0. That's my man Jesse Schule. Jesse, let them know what they're going to find locked and loaded over at your page, because the answer is always yes when you ask, what are you handicapping recently? So what are people going to find locked and loaded over there, Jesse?
Well, the big play, the big story is I got a 5-star CFL play going on Monday. My friend Dan, he alluded to the fact that it's bad luck to come on here and do too much bragging. So I'm not going to really get into my success with the CFL over the years. I'll just say that my name is featured prominently on the leaderboards, whether it be short-term, mid-term, or long-term. So go have a look for yourself.
I like it. A man of few words. All he needs to do is let you know, go check him out at sportsmemo.com. He doesn't have to brag because I do the bragging for him. Definitely check out Jesse and ride with him on his football plays. Definitely check him out, sm.buzz/JS. Well, that's going to do it here for our Tuesday edition. Want to remind you that $2 Tuesday play is up from Dan Kaiser. You can make it a $3 Tuesday and grab Billy Coleman's as well. And you can trek on over to wagertalk.com and have a guy who I like to say, I gave him good luck because I brought him from Sports Memo all the way over to wagertalk.com. That's Ronald Kabang, and he's got a 5% MLB play going this evening. So definitely go over there and grab that. 3 plays, just $5. Can't really beat that. That's our thanks to you here on a $2 Tuesday. Big thanks, speaking of it, to our man, Dan Kaiser. Big thanks to Jesse Schule. Big thanks to Eric doing a terrific job behind the scenes. I've been your host, Dan Alexander. And as we promised, we get you that actionable info in 30 minutes or less every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Sports Memo Today.